So it's come to my attention recently that I haven't really done a video in a really long time, and let me tell you why. So this year has sort of been a Monty Python-esque comedy of errors. Sadly, if you looked up Murphy's Law online, I'm sure that you would find my family's picture. So in January, I got a staph infection, which, not to be too dramatic, very well could have killed me. And then in June 21st, I believe it was, my mom passed away. And you know, one of my reasons for doing this video is because a lot of people have asked, like, how I managed to come out of that on the other side. I want to sort of like stress the fact that my way of dealing with this and my way of coping and getting through it, it's not necessarily the best for everyone, but it genuinely worked for me, and the reason why is because I was very lucky to have closure with my mother. Over the last several years there, we were able to let go of a lot of hurt and pain that we had both caused one another, not just that my mother had caused towards me when I was a kid, or vice versa, but that we had both caused towards one another. And you know, sickness really brings people together, and it helps you to remember what's important. So the day that my mom and I had a really big breakthrough, which really helped me when it came to healing through this, was it was the day that I had to tell her she had cancer. And it was a really hard day. I think it was the first time since I was a kid that I thought of going into the chapel and just sort of sitting there. And I'm not religious at all, but I still, for some reason, felt some sort of level of peace with wanting to walk into the chapel and just relax, and have a couple words with God about my mom. I didn't go because I didn't want to spend any more time away from her than I needed to. But we were sitting there, me and my sister. My sister was sitting on the left side of my mom. I was sitting on the right, and she had a moment of clarity, so we had to tell her what was going on. And I looked at her and I said, "Mom, you have cancer." I said, "You're dying, and this is your forever home." And it was the first and only time I got emotional around my mom when she was in the hospital, because I thought that was just, she was already in the hospital, she was already sick. I didn't want to be that person that was just down around her. I wanted to bring her spirits up, and you know, and I think we did. But you know, a couple hours later, my sister had gone home. So my sister had a nervous breakdown when I told my mom, because, I mean, one of us had to. And I'm glad my sister was there for me for support while I told my mother that. But so a few hours later, I tried to stay with my mom. I went to see my mom about once or twice a week. I mean, I live in Toronto. She lives in Hamilton. It was hard getting back and forth, especially trying to work and pay the bills at the same time. And so when I did go to Hamilton, I usually spent about 6 to 7 hours with her. Like, I rarely went home without, like, being told, like, you know, get out. But a few hours later, when my sister had left, my mom looked at me, and because she had been, she'd been sort of comatose in sleep and wasn't waking up a lot. And she had looked at me and she said, "Is it true?" And I said, "What?" And then she drew a C. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Mom, it's true." I said, "You have cancer." I said, "You're dying." And I went over and I sat beside her, and I held her hand, and she looked at me and said, "I'm sorry." I said, sorry for what? She said, I'm sorry I wasn't a better mother. And in true Lozon fashion, I burst out laughing in her face. You see, when parents are healthy, they don't want to hear how great of a parent they are. They don't. I think they're okay with the Mom of the Year cup and all that other stuff, but they're not okay with the whole, like, telling them how good of a job they did when you were a kid and all that other stuff. Like, they don't want to hear it when they're healthy. So when they're sick, you know, if you're lucky, you have a really great opportunity to say something. And I laughed in her face, and I was like, what are you talking about? I said, Mom, I said, you were a great mom. I said, with the limited resources that you had when we were kids, I mean, I'm a great kid. It's because you were a great mom. And, you know, and I was like, Brenda's a great mom, and she's a great kid because you taught us right. Something in you taught us how to behave and react. And I think having that true and honest, sincere moment with my mom really helped me to heal. The thing, though, that you need to remember is that the brain is one of the most complex and yet incredible machines on the planet. And while I will never get over losing my mother, my brain and my heart will have managed to find ways to cope better each time I think of her. And not better in a bad way. You know, I over the last year or so, there was a really great bond between me and my mom, and I started letting go of a lot of the stuff that had happened when I was a kid, and so I think as an adult and having this moment, it was just, you know, and this isn't right for everybody. This was just how I did it. I will tell you that some days are harder than others. I was lying in bed the other night, and out of nowhere I thought of my mom and start crying in bed. I thought of my accomplishments that I have right now, that I'm going through in my life, and I thought that I won't get to share those with her. And yeah, let's get over the whole existential bullshit of, but she's there with you all the time. It's not the same as looking at her and talking to her face to face. It's just not the same. And you know, someone said to me something today that really, really bothered me. Anyways, you know, she's in a better place. What the fuck? A better place where my mother would be here alive with us. That's a better place. And yeah, she was sick, and it was her time. I don't deny those things. But a better place would have been catching the tumors before they happened and her being alive. And unfortunately, both me and my sister agree on this. We think the system failed my mom. And, you know, it's because my mom was on assistance and she wasn't very articulate. And so maybe she wasn't getting across the things that were going on when she needed to. But yeah, so the staph infection, and then actually just before my mom got sick, I auditioned for a role in early May, and then was actually offered a role in the short film, but had to decline it because my mom was sick, and I prioritized that instead. And I think that if you are the kind of person like myself who looks at the world and says, you know, thank you for everything, I have an attitude of gratitude, I sort of took that as a sign from the universe to say, hey, don't give up. It's just not your time yet. And I believe that. I believe the universe sort of gives us little signs and helps us to cope with a lot of stuff. Like I tell everyone the same thing, and maybe it's a mantra that I repeat to myself. And it's that I am forever grateful to the universe for having put my mom, that woman, my mother, in my life as my mom. Because I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be as driven as I am. I wouldn't be as successful in my own eyes as I am. I mean, I grew up soup kitchen poor. Like our Christmas presents were from the Salvation Army, and to now be living in a condo in downtown Toronto, you know, like a lot of people are like, they talk about the fact that, oh well, no one needs this, and you know, no one needs a condo, and blah blah blah. I'm not like, oh my god, look at my condo, I'm so rich. Please, I fucking struggle like everybody else to pay my bills sometimes. But the things that I have are reminders of why I work so hard. You know, that TV reminds me of why I work so hard. It's because I don't want it to go away. I like my life, and so I continue to work hard to maintain it. But I think that's something that my mom gave to us. Whether or not I wanted to grow up to not be my mother, i.e. be on assistance and stuff, or whether or not I was just wanting to do more, having had my mother the way she was and be the person that she was, I wouldn't be the woman I am today without her. The good, the bad, and the motherfucking ugly. Let me tell you. But, so yeah, so that night, I came home, and I was, you know, I was emotionally distraught at having to tell my mom she had cancer and that she was dying. Then I was going to the hospital, and she wasn't waking up, but the doctors told us that she could hear us. So I would, my mom loved bingo and crossword tickets, the originals, not the new fancy $5 ones, but the $3 ones. And so I think I have some, I do, look at that. I have two that I haven't even scratched yet. That are sitting there waiting until the moment tells me to scratch them. I buy them and I scratch them, and most of the time I read the numbers out to my mom, or read out the letters, because it's just a way of keeping her memory alive for me. And I think that that's another way of like healthy coping for myself. It's you know, reminding myself. I think that eternal life isn't really living forever physically. I think eternal life is how you're remembered, and I want my mom to live forever in my mind. So I will try to keep the memory alive as often as I can, and as often as I can afford it. But yeah, so I remember the night that she passed away. It was the weekend of World Pride. It was just the beginning of it. I had went to IKEA to buy some outdoor tiles for my patio, and they were really heavy, and so my brother-in-law picked me up at the GO station, which was really nice of him, and kept everything in his van. And then because of World Pride starting the next day, I decided that it might have been it was smarter for me to take the last bus home, because I was going from Hamilton to Toronto, rather than take a bus from Hamilton to Toronto in the morning, when people would be going there for World Pride, when I could actually be taking a bus from Toronto to Hamilton, getting away from the whole herbuffle of it all. And so I went home, and then I got a phone call at around 4 in the morning, 4:21 I think it was. And it was a nurse on the phone, and she said, Samantha, I have to tell you something. Your sister is too emotional. Your mom passed away. And I very guiltily had a sigh of relief. You know, she was sick, really sick. And like I said, I very guiltily had that sigh of relief, that I was like, okay, she's done now. She's not in pain anymore. And I get that that's why people say that saying, well, she's in a better place. It still seems really insensitive to say it, especially if you don't know her or you didn't know me very well. And this is actually someone that didn't know me very well, so it came off as very insensitive. You know, people think they know you because they've seen your videos or because they follow you on Twitter, or maybe because you've actually gone out for a drink with them a couple of times with them and some friends. And in reality, you know, there's so many sides to someone that isn't always shown, and it just seemed a little insensitive to me. Still does, actually. So I went to my sister's place, and we had dinner, and we cried over my mom dying. And then that night, Ryan, one of my best friends, one of my best and closest friends right now, he invited me to a concert to get my mind out of the, you know, headspace. And I promptly broke my toe that night. Yeah. So, staph infection, my mom passed away, I broke my toe. The following Thursday, I threw my back out. And then, in late August, while drunk, out with my dogs, I jumped over a fence, fell, and broke my ankle. So this year, like I said, has been a comedy of errors. I can't even tell you how many bad things have just gone wrong. And you know, I also like I found in my old age that I'm not putting up with as much crap as I used to. I'm getting to be a little more vocal. So maybe you'll see me a little more on here. I really do sincerely apologize for not keeping everyone up to date. You've all been so good to me over the years, following me and watching my videos and listening to my rants. And I feel like I turned my back on you very slightly, and I apologize for that. But unfortunately, I had so much going on in my life. It was just sitting in front of a camera and talking about it was a little overwhelming. But I'm better. I'm back. And I hope that you all look forward to seeing more videos from me. I promise that I'll be more consistent. I don't know what I'll do videos on, but I will definitely be a lot more consistent. I thank you all for coming along with on this journey with me. I genuinely appreciate every one of you for watching my videos, for sharing them, everything. You know, oh wait, so I forgot that I also made my stage debut this year, September, just after my mom's birthday. I started in a play called Euchred. I played a trans woman who had transitioned later on in life, and it was fantastic. It was really fantastic. I made some great connections, and I met a lot of really great people. And again, I'm really sorry that I didn't update everyone sooner and discuss it. But at the time, while on stage, I still had a broken ankle. I was still going through all of that. So I hope that you'll all please forgive me. I'll make it up to you. I'll keep you more in the loop from now on. Thank you very much for all of your well wishes and your prayers with regards to my mom. She would have loved it. And yeah, I will see you all on the other side.